Look at that beautiful brother. Give it up for Dion Martin. He paid me to say that.
Well, one, thank you all. People actually got on a plane to come through the snow and to be here tonight. But people also walked out of their very comfortable, warm homes to be here tonight. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the recognition of the importance of this moment and this time and this work that these incredible people have put together for you to see tonight. Thank you, Brother Skip. Thank you, Brother Skip, for hosting us and for doing this and for being the contributor to society that you are. Thank you.
Thank you. That's so very kind. Dion is a good friend. His family, I love his family, and it's very interesting to just I got to know him through my friend Glenn Hutchins and see him, frankly, the most I've ever seen him is at basketball games. He had fabulous seats. And then to get to know someone through a friend, and then for them to become your friend and get to know them intimately, and then watch them reinvent themselves after an extraordinarily successful career when he could have just skated the rest of his life. And to go into something, an entirely new field, in full partnership with his loving wife, who's much more brilliant than he is. I'm sorry, Dion, but everybody knows that. But then to reinvent himself and to throw himself in a truly entrepreneurial enterprise with his friends is quite something to see. So I can't wait to order all this stuff and, whatever, and live forever. That's what I am definitely into longevity.
That's Wellwithal's new tagline.
That's right. I'm Henry Louis Gates Jr., and it is my enormous privilege. It gives me an extraordinary amount of pleasure to welcome you to this very special screening this evening. And once again, please give it up for Dion Martin for making this possible. Now, tonight, we gather to witness Black Longevity, a film that does something rare and something necessary. It celebrates Black elders, not as symbols of struggles overcome, but as embodiments of vitality, wisdom, and joy. It asks us to reconsider what we mean when we talk about living well. Think about all the generations of people of color who couldn't even contemplate the concept of living well. People were just trying to live, just trying to survive, trying to endure. And, we're one of the first sets of generations, we're multiple generations in this room who actually can think. Despite the madness coming out of Washington, this too shall pass, as the Bible says. But Lord, soon, we're one of the first multiple generations who can actually think about the concept of living well and experiencing joy and maximizing those values for an even larger percentage of our people and other people, our peoples, our fellow citizens, our countrymen and women, is what Dion's idea is really all about. This film exists because of the vision and commitment of 4 extraordinary people. And I want to introduce each of them to you. Dion Martin, of course, is the co-founder and CEO of Wellwithal and executive producer of this film. One more time, give it up for the EP. NAACP Image Award nomination?
NAACP Image Award nomination.
Man, that's amazing. Now, Damon, what category are you in?
Best short film, documentary, right?
Short documentary.
Geneva, say what it actually means.
Outstanding short documentary.
Well, the
Yes.
reason I ask is that I'm in for a long documentary. And if you was in for a long documentary, I was going to leave. Lilly Chu, my good friend, soul sister instantly, Chief Brand and Creative Officer of Well With All, and Executive Producer. Ladies and gentlemen, please. Dion Sapp, owner of APT 5F.
Apartment 5F.
Huh?
Apartment 5F.
Oh, I'm sorry. What the hell is Apartment 5F?
I'm sorry?
What is Apartment 5F?
So that is the name of my. Oh, hello. So that is the name of my creative agency company. I named that after the apartment that my grandmother raised my father, my uncle, and myself in.
Wow, that's
in
cool.
Flatbush. So
All right, I'll do that again.
yeah. With the backstory, right?
No, I think that's sweet. I do stuff like that. I like tradition and the repetition of tradition, honoring tradition. Dion Sapp, owner of Apartment 5F and executive producer, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. Thank you.
And last but not least, Geneva Peschka, the director of Black Longevity. Give it up for Geneva.
Yes.
So let's talk about how this soon-to-be prize-winning film came to be. To Damon, why this film and why Black Longevity? And why now? But before I want you to start with how you woke up and decided you wanted a second act or a third act or whatever this act is for you. That's first. And that's very important for everybody in this room, particularly my students, okay? And then how you focused on Black Longevity. Would you do that? Share that with us?
The way I describe my life is I've lived this improbable but possible life. And, grew up poor, lived in the projects, lived in the trailer in rural North Carolina, and then people invested in my life and gave me extraordinary opportunities. First job out of UNC Charlotte was assistant to the White House Chief of Staff in the Clinton administration, and then Harvard Business School, and then Adage Capital, 21 years at a firm that was just beginning but became one of the largest hedge funds in the country. Our family experienced a period of time of pain and struggle. And from that, what I realized is I was on the other side of inequity, where I had all these resources to deal with that. But when I was 14, I was living in a trailer. If I went through the exact same thing, I'd be dead or in jail. Mm-hmm. And there's so many people in the country that are in that exact position right now. And that was the birth of the idea for Well With All, where we take 20% of the profits and use it as an economic engine to pour back into these societal issues. And if I think about why Black Longevity, raise your hand if you knew walking into this room that the oldest person in America is an African-American woman. That's a small number. And raise your hand if you knew before her, the oldest person in America was an African-American woman. That's an even smaller number. And so this story of downtroddenness and despair and Black health being synonymous with death is a false narrative. And so the stories need to be told in a way that actually represents reality. And so what you see in this film is joy, you see laughter, you see love, you see the reality of what does exist in the Black community.
So why this film?
I thought I just dropped that.
I thought
I was like,
No. That was why you and why you doing it. But why use the medium of film, and what's your purpose? What's your desire?
The purpose is to move the culture and help folks to understand that the small steps that we take feed into the mission of creating generational wellness for all.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the most powerful things, and this is something that you've done your entire career, is storytelling. The storytelling is what moves behavior. The storytelling is what moves culture. The storytelling is what creates the repeatable actions that go from concept to reality.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why this film exists.
Oh, that's great. It is all about story. I tell people that anybody, you could go to the New England Genealogical Society on Newberry Street, 99 Newberry Street, and you could walk in there and you could hire them at a reasonable rate to do your family tree. And God knows the people in Finding Your Roots could do that because they're all celebrities. You know, they could get the A+ treatment. But when you do, the genealogists give you a book of documents. Our secret sauce is transforming data, transforming documents into stories. It is about storytelling. John went down to the valley. Is that Jesus he saw over there? You know, that's it. That's what it's all about. And that's how we rate preachers. It's how we rate teachers. God knows that's how we rate filmmakers. Yeah. So that's how to spread the message. I love the fact that you had the idea and then launched into a new medium to spread the idea. I think that's a very clever thing.
And that could not have happened without these people on the stage.
Well, that's the other thing. You got to be smart enough to know what you don't know and hire or work with the people who know. That's been the key to my success. Hire people smarter than you are. Yeah. Surround only chumps hire people less smart than they are, and they will fail. They will fail. If you hire somebody like Brandon Terry, where is that Negro? Right there. Brandon Terry, whose brand new book, it was just listed by New York Times as one of the best books, 100 books of the year. That's very hard. That is very hard. And he's one of my colleagues. He was one of my students. You spot him. Like David Wilkerson, you spot him and go, that's the one. I call him the new Negro. And that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. And that's the only way you could be successful. So I want to open this up to the panel. And you all just raise your hand and fire away. When you think about the ways Black elders have been portrayed, or more often not portrayed, or, let's admit it, stereotyped in American culture, what gaps were you trying to fill with this film? Who wants to start?
You got it.
Geneva.
First of all, thank you so much for tonight. I am beside myself that I'm actually sitting here with a group of you, so this is amazing.
Thank you.
I think for myself as a storyteller, as a director, you know, focusing on how we can change narratives, I'm really looking for how even within our own communities, we can share stories that we need to see, and we can create change in our communities and also, of course, throughout all communities. And just showing our stories really in truth and in light, because they have not been shown in such a way. And also that's such an important reason for us to be telling our own stories.
Mm-hmm. Lilly.
I think that being able to tell stories that are just never part of it in our atmosphere is really important. I think that when you guys watch the film, what's amazing is, you know, the lives that people have lived, you know, and the history in it. And I think that oftentimes, for me personally, I haven't heard that narrative, you know, and I think that at a time right now where a lot of voices are getting erased, like there's a reason why they say that cliche, like representation matters, right? It does, because when we see it, it's almost like it's proven and it's inspirational. And I think that, working with Demand on the brand side of things, this was one of the most amazing opportunities, like having worked in advertising for a really long time. Because at a certain point, you want to tell the stories that really matter, the stories that do move culture, the stories that are emotional and can engage with people emotionally. And I think that audiences, no matter whether you're Black or yellow or white or whatever, there's something so familial and humanizing about the stories that we're telling, and it just reminds us about humanity again. So I think that it's super important to be able to tell that narrative, especially when oftentimes you don't hear it, and or revisionist history is happening right now in our country. So I think that that's another thing.
Dion, did you have, as director, did you have an intentional image of Black elders that you were either refuting or that you were trying to effect? Yeah, I was trying to think, what are the images of Black elders we see? Miss Jane Pittman, Red Fox in Sanford and Son, give me some other Aunt Jemima, Uncle Ben, from the old days, positive, negative, but not many, right?
That's right. I'm terrible at this, so bear with me. The process of making this film, we had the pleasure of working with a casting director that introduced us to a bunch of amazing unsung heroes in our community, like your people that you seemingly just don't hear about, like your professors and local politicians, like truly doing magical things in the community. And my hope as a filmmaker is we can provide a platform to tell those stories, because we have done some unbelievably magical things, and that's it. That's what I got.
I do want to say that it was important for us in general, like as a brand, but also to really work with a Black and brown crew, and like through us telling our stories, I think that we were able to do it in a different way that had this care and thoughtfulness about it, which I feel like is reflected in the film.
Okay. Let's talk a bit about process. And Geneva, I want you to start again. As director, what did you learn, or did you learn anything particular about longevity from being in the presence of these elders that you didn't expect to learn or that you didn't know before? And how old do you have to be an elder? I mean, I'm 75, goddammit. I'm starting to feel old here.
That's a really great question. Any story that I have the privilege and honor to develop and direct, I first of all get to have the opportunity with this project was to get to know the individuals first. So you're going into, before you actually start filming and go into their personal lives, you create this beautiful personal connection. And they've shared all these things about their lives. So you get to kind of get an idea of who they are and who you think they are, really. And then when you actually go in and you start filming, it becomes something so much more magical than you thought it was going to be. I like to go into every single environment, everyone's home, peek into everyone's life with curiosity and openness. And I think the thing that really stood out here for me was this really, really strong theme of love in every single way, shape, or form, and how that affects our longevity, how much power and love there is within our community. So that was something that I always knew, but to be in the room and to be in that space and to feel that openness and that immediate love and that feeling of community and family with every single person that I sat down with really floored me. And I think for me as well, this was also a healing experience for me because both of my grandparents had passed before I I was born.
Oh,
You know, so sorry, before I got the chance to meet them. So it was this opportunity to learn that longevity on an intimate level and to really form friendships with all of them. I'm still in contact with them. So
in a way, we're starting in the middle. So let's back up. How did you choose? You mentioned you had a great casting director. Share with the audience how this process unfolded, how people were chosen, and then what was the process of getting to know them that you referred to so movingly just now?
thank you for asking that. I think it's really important as a storyteller to not just jump into the story and start filming someone's life. They are sharing something with you that is so personal and sacred. So part of my process in developing story and getting to know somebody before we even start filming is ensuring that we've had that moment of connection and that they know that they're safe and that they're respected. And anything that they share that they don't want in the film, that is fully honored. And that, I think, really echoes too in the ethos of respect and care of Wellwithal and everyone that's here today. And then you build from there. You get to know about their stories, et cetera, and so on. But before you even get to where you're actually selecting the individuals that are going to be in the film, for me, it was important to sit down and take a look at all these incredible people that we had, but having to bring it to a little bit more of like a finite group that all shared something unique and different, that you will be able to, the audience will be able to get something different and also find a point of connection. And that's important to me because I think I want everybody to be able to see themselves in someone in some way, shape, or form. So it's not just the same type of person, same type of story, as you will all see in a few moments. But there's also, there's so much opportunity for you to get to know people that live a different life than you, that are just the most amazing, beautiful people. So that it's all very intentional. I just want people to I want their hearts to burst open,
Wow, that's nice. Explain to the audience. This is something that cracks me up. One time I was interviewing Colin Powell, General Powell, for a profile in the New Yorker. And he said, no, I'm sorry. I had done a profile of Colin Powell for the New Yorker. Then I was interviewing him for a documentary, a PBS documentary. And he said, just ask me the one question that you're actually going to use. Because y'all keep me here for 1 hour and you'll use 2 minutes. And I laughed because he was telling the truth. But the truth is, you have to film somebody a long time to get the 2 minutes that really works. So what is your ratio, any of you, what was your ratio of footage to the final cut? Dion? 100 hours of film.
We filmed quite a bit of footage to get to the meat of the story. But I mean, in filmmaking, I find that a lot of the magic happens when the camera isn't rolling. We have a brother in our project by the name of Walter Beach. He you'll see him in a moment. He was just dropping some jewels, and I as I mentioned earlier, like one of the most important people to me growing up was my grandmother. She was literally my entire world. Like so I like old Black people a lot. But Walter, man, I mean, the great thing about older Black people is they will say whatever they want, and I mean, just dropping jewels on us, man. He was phenomenal to be around. So to your point, yes, it takes a long time, and like Geneva mentioned, it's just we are when you're filming, you're in people's personal space, and it's a crew of like 12, 15 of us in this room that's usually occupied by 2 people. So it's a bit of like a I like to call it like double dutch. You know, you kind of got to find your rhythm when you could jump in and hop in and ask those questions. I think Geneva is quite masterful in doing that. You know, we had a wonderful time. It was, you know, like she mentioned, again, for myself, I had just lost my grandmother while we were filming this.
Oh,
So
sorry.
I was crying like quite a bit. If there's any footage of that, please let's throw that away. But I mean, just being around these beautiful souls, like and the hope for us was to show our elders not just surviving in their older age, as Damon mentioned, you know, just kind of waiting around until. No, it was, we wanted to show them thriving, and within that, the hope was the people watching the film would get inspired to potentially make some changes in their lives or get some useful information that they could then pass on to their moms and dads and people, and maybe get their dad to go to that. You know,
Well, you were blessed with intimate familiarity with an elder who
absolutely.
enjoyed longevity. Was there anything that you learned in this process that you didn't know before, despite your bond with your grandma?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize how important a sense of purpose is to longevity. Like I found that when
What
we
do you
were-
mean? Explain the sense of purpose.
So something as small as having something to look forward to, whether it's getting with your friends on the weekend to go to church for or going to play Scrabble with a group of your friends, or you know, gearing up for that date on the calendar to see your granddaughter graduate. It's just having sense of purpose really adds years to our elders' lives. I noticed that in my own personal experience, but also with these people as well. It's like that does wonders for the soul, I believe. And that's what I learned in this process, really.
Damon, what did you learn?
I learned so much, but what I'd say probably.
Were you there doing all the filming?
No. I was running well with all. These folks were doing
Right.
the masterful pieces. Like literally, I had this vision of what Black longevity would be. I said it to Lilly. We said it to Dion. Geneva came on board, and then it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I had faith in them to do this masterful work. And when they came, I just cried.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you have like this vision of something and how you want to impact other people, and then you trust and invest in other folks to do what they're masterful at,
And pray.
and pray, and they come back with literally a work of art, which we're gonna show the film in just a second. It's a really beautiful thing. The one other thing I would say is that the Toolman Foundation, when I had this crazy concept that Kia and I were going to invest financially in doing this, but we're looking for others to join. Folks were like, yeah, that seemed like a good idea, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But they were willing to step up and bring the other half to it to actually make this come to fruition. So like that, when you actually have the capital to also be able to do these things, that's also useful.
Good. 2 more questions, and then we'll to the panel, and then we'll. I'm enjoying hearing them reflect, aren't you? Yeah, learning a lot. Dion, Geneva, Lilly, each of you in your own way. Each of you helped shape how this story will be told. So I think the audience wants to hear from each of you. What does it mean to you personally to create work that redefines how we see aging in the Black community? Geneva, you start, then Lilly, then Dion.
For me, it feels like the ultimate honor to be in the space where I get to celebrate my community, my elders, my ancestors, and to show who we really are, for us to own the narrative. That for me is really important, to be a part of even a little bit of changing that narrative. It's a real
Good.
honor.
Thank you. Lilly.
I love being able to create intergenerational conversations. I feel like right now there's a lot of young folks looking towards their elders, wanting to hear the stories, and vice versa. So being able to document these important stories has been really meaningful, not just to celebrate and to be, inspiring amongst, elders and peers, but to be inspiring to younger generations to want to look forward to something and have that purpose. One talk that Damon gave recently, he was talking about how we're at this day and age where people think that they're avatars. There's not a lot of human connection, and like it's all kind of digital or through the matrix, right? And I think that this film kind of reminds our younger folks that this idea of love and community and purpose is something to be celebrated, and I'm hoping that we become less like avatars after watching this, because it really is core to building this community, like just being around each other. So I'm happy to be part of just telling these stories and documenting them.
Great. Dion.
I wasn't ready. I was just listening. So, I would love for us to get back to the mantra of, it takes a village. I love the art form of storytelling, and I think our elders hold the key to so many like amazing stories, and we should be open to passing it down to our parents, to our kids, because if not us, who is going to do it? I mean, I know that we've always struggled with this, but I think now more than ever, even telling our stories has become a form of activism, and I'm, my attitude is not like the type of person to be outside protesting. Like this part of being part of telling our stories and uplifting our community, I'm better suited here, doing that.
And you'll live longer.
Yeah, for sure. So I am, and as you mentioned earlier as well, is we are, in a unique place to be able to help each other and, rely on each other for, information, for help with businesses, everything. So I think if we can pull ourselves together, I think that's a better strategy for us long term.
I agree. I think it was one of it was Boys in the Hood or Do the Right. I mean, it could have been one of 1,000 films. Somebody said, "I'm going to be dead by 30 anyway, so what the hell difference does it make?" Right? So I think that for a lot of our people, just the idea of having an arc of life with multiple chapters is something very difficult to grasp or aspire to even. And so what you're doing, I think, could contribute greatly to that. Let's go for the long game, No, you don't have to die at 30. You don't have to have diabetes. You don't have to get all the traditional things that Black people have, either genetically or because of the environmental factors, like high blood pressure, et cetera, et cetera. It can be controlled. But finally, Demond, to you, I was supposed to put this to all the panelists, but I really want to ask you this question. And at this point, I'm dying to get out of here and sit over there and watch the film too, because I haven't seen it. But I want to ask you, and I'd ask Kia this if she were up here, but she would kill me if I asked her, called her out. After producing this film, because you are the producer, what do you hope changes? Not just for those of us privileged enough to be watching it this evening, but for how we as a culture, we as a people, think about Black life and Black aging. And in the end, what it means to live well?
I think as many of the folks here know, if you look at Back Bay, which is here in Boston, and you measure that versus Roxbury, there's a 23-year life expectancy gap, meaning that the folks in Roxbury are living 23 years less on average than the folks in Back Bay. In the north side of Chicago versus the south side of Chicago, that is 30 years. Every major city throughout the country has these life expectancy gaps that exist. And so when Wellwithal talks about having a mission of creating generational wellness for all, the work that we do, the products that we sell, the interventions that we engage in as a company, it is set to shrink those gaps. And so as we move forward, as you digest the content of this beautiful film, that is a small piece of the puzzle in closing those gaps.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Damon Martin, Lilly Chu, Geneva Peschka, and Dion Sapp. Great, thank you.
Without further ado, showtime.